We're trying to get better at using the method cross multiplication. So we're going to be doing some work with cross multiplication problems that contain fractions. So let's look at step 1 for solving a proportion using cross multiplication. First, we have to determine if it's proportion. So proportion, remember, is when you have two equal fractions. So I see two fractions and I see an equal sign in between. We're looking for that equal sign, that's important. Also, you'll notice there's this missing variable. So cross multiplication is a method that you use to solve for that missing variable. So we have the right situation to apply cross multiplication. So we're ready for number 2, which is to actually cross multiply. So I'm going to record my parentheses first. So parentheses, parentheses, an equal sign, and then I'm going to have two parentheses over here, or two sets. Then I multiply across, and I'm going to multiply 5 by 4/3, or 4/3 by 5. The order doesn't matter. According to the commutative property of multiplication, I could trade the order. I could put the 5 here and the 4/3 here. Now I'm going to multiply across this direction, and I multiply 11 by r. And 11 times r is 11r. And then when I multiply 4/3 times 5, 5 is not written as a fraction. So I need to change 5 to a fraction. If you want to change an integer to a fraction, just place it over 1. So that's how I change 5 to a fraction. You place it over 1. Then to multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators. 4 times 5 is 20. And then you multiply the denominators. The denominator 3 multiplied by the denominator 1 is equal to 3. And I'll bring down the 11r. So we have completed step 1, which is cross multiplication. And now we're ready to divide both sides by the coefficient. Well, the coefficient here is 11. The 11 is the number in front of the r, the number being multiplied by the r. So we need to divide both sides by the coefficient, because the coefficient of r is what we're trying to get rid of. Because the point of solving an equation is that you're trying to isolate r, figure out what r is equivalent to. Over here, you'll notice that we have a complex fraction, because we have a fraction that contains a fraction. So just so that it's nice and clear, I want to make sure you know that the 20/3 is together, so I'm going to put parentheses around that. And then this is the larger fraction bar separating the two numbers. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the 1r on this side, because 11 divided by 11 equals 1, so we're left with 1r. And then over here, I need to write 11 as a fraction. Step 1 is to make sure the numerator and the denominator are fractions. So I'm going to record the 20/3, and then I'm going to exaggerate the fraction bar in between, make it nice and long. And then the 11 I need to write as a fraction. If you want to write an integer as a fraction, just place it over 1. Now that they're both fractions, the next step is to replace this fraction bar with a division symbol that looks like this. And then we need to remember to place the numerator first, 20/3, divided by, and then we place the denominator second. And this, whatever we get, is going to equal r. Next, we need to keep, change, reciprocal, or you could say keep, change, flip. So the first fraction stays exactly the same. You keep it 20/3. You change the division symbol to multiplication, and the second fraction is the one that you flip. You write the reciprocal of the second fraction. Then this is just regular multiplication. So with regular multiplication, we're going to multiply across. 20 times 1, we multiply the numerators together. 20 times 1 is 20, and then we multiply the denominators and we get 33. 33 breaks down into 3 times 11. You can't break it down any further. And 20, you can't divide by 3, and you can't divide by 11. So this is our final answer. R equals 20/33. And if you're curious what would happen if you would divide it, I went ahead and divided it. You would end up with decimal 606060, and the pattern would go on forever. So I just put a line over the 6 and the 0.